What is the shofar? What's the point of that instrument, of that animal horn that we sound out on this holiday? Is it a wake-up call? Is it a call to action? One of my favorite rituals within a ritual is the spilling of the wine on Passover. Why is the rabbi talking about Passover now? Just follow me. The spilling of the wine on Passover. As we make our way through the Seder and we call out the plagues, what do? We take a drop from our cup and we drop the wine out of our cup. One of my favorite midrashim, explaining that ritual, that act, how strange it is. We worked for that wine. We're here to celebrate. And our rabbis would tell us that even in the midst of our celebration, we must remember that even our enemies suffered. Maybe they deserved it, but suffering is suffering. And so we lessen our joy just a little bit. We lessen our joy, pouring out the wine from our cup. Might the shofar find similar expression? One of my favorite teachings of the shofar takes us to a far other book of the Bible, the story and the song of Devorah, the prophetess, who with her general Barak moved forward against an opposing foe. And they won the battle against Sisera and drove him out, the opposing general, so much that he fled his encampment and made his escape on foot alone. The strength of Devorah led to his eventual demise through that story. And eventually he finds himself at his last place on earth, at the hands of the hero Yael. And what happens after that story is that Devorah, like so many others of our prophets and our heroes of our story, she sings. She sings a song, the song of Devorah. And in that song, there is a very strange mention towards the end. As she's singing and celebrating the defeat and the victory of Israel, she mentions that Sisera's mother leans out her window crying for her son, saying, "Where is my son? I should be hearing his chariot now." And the maidens and the servants come to comfort her, and she will not be comforted. She will not be comforted because she thinks that something terrible has happened to her son. And in fact, the story tells us there was. Did he deserve it? That's not the question for today. The rabbis read that piece, that small verse in the Song of Devorah, and counted the letters of what it took for Devorah to add that piece into her song. Counting the letters comes out to 100 Hebrew letters to share insight into how the mother of our enemy might feel, even if her own son had done wrong. What it must feel like to lose in that depth and that pain. And the rabbis, the story tells us, connected that with the blast of the shofar, imploring us to have 100 kolot, to hear 100 blasts of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. To remember, just like the wine that is poured out, and just like Sisera's mother, that even in our victory, we must remember that we are all God's creatures. That we all have mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and children who want the best for us. And that when we hear the blast of the shofar, do we not hear it sound like a cry? Do we not hear it sound like the cry that is included and comes from all of our hearts, all of our chests? That might be what the shofar is trying to bring to us today. We must remember the cries of everybody. We celebrate, yes. We have our 4 cups of wine. We sound the shofar in this moment of victory when we elevate ourselves, but we must also remember all the suffering that happens because they are all God's creatures.